Hi, everybody, and welcome back. And it's good to see you all here. I'm sure people will be joining us as soon as they can, and I'll let them in. And obviously, we're doing Miu Miu tonight, and I'm just going to bring up the presentations just so we can have a look. Let me just share my screen. Okay, let everybody in. Still some more people coming. Okay, so Miu Miu, I guess we all know part of the Prada group. Um, Miu Miu is sort of an interesting brand. It's been doing really well financially, and I guess it's quite a cheeky brand compared to Prada, a very serious brand. Um, I think what was quite interesting to see a mix of collage and drawings and different artworks coming through tonight. So we'll get moving because I know some people have stayed up late to come to this. Um, so Susanna Gomez, I'm not too sure if she's here, but Susanna, I guess what was quite interesting about this image was firstly, with the rise of people doing a lot of digital work, it was nice to see something quite handcrafted, almost pulling back to something quite minimal, quite almost what we'd say quite basic, but analog and bringing back a bit of that pen and ink, watercolors, almost quite old school style. The nice thing about this, uh, who's this? Is requesting AI companion. You can enable it. Um, so I guess people are requesting stuff. So watch out what you're requesting. So Miu Miu on this brand, I think it was really nice to see this purely because it has a sort of handcrafted feel. And we know, I don't know if many of you are following what's happening on Instagram, but Miu Miu have been bringing in lots of illustrators for live events. Not only have they been bringing them in for live events, but they're almost setting up a standard for doing live event illustrations. Your biggest gateway into working with luxury brands now is probably through live events. So, my advice for anybody who's thinking of taking this up as a more serious job, it's well paid, the live events, and seems to be the golden era of uh, fashion and fashion illustration and drawing through live events and live activations. So if any of you are considering doing it as a job or as a profession, there seems to be a real market there for live events. So this would be a great example of something you could draw on the spot and give away as a gift. Probably needs to be done a bit faster. So, but a great drawing, Suzanne. I thought it was a lovely piece, and like I always say with all these things, once you get to something that's quite nice, just think about how you could replicate this and do more. I think always nice to see a series, and still life is such a great space to be working in. So well done, Susanna. Next is Tamio. I know Tamio is usually on here, but Tamio, I thought this was a lovely piece. I love this, and I thought it has a sort of combination of advertising meets woodblock printing, really sort of graphic colors, and you're almost I don't know if Tamio's on. I saw her on here. Let me just see. Yeah, so
Yeah,
Tam,
hi. Yeah, I'm here.
yeah, I don't know if you've ever experimented with doing screen printing. Have you tried screen printing?
Screen printing? No, no,
No,
I've
so
never.
you could, because you've got only a few colors here, it would be interesting for you to, rather than doing woodblock printing, screen printing will give you them really opaque layering systems. And in the UK, you can buy screens already exposed. so you could send them as separations. I don't know if you've ever done a screen printing course, but like the one on the left, the one with the bottle, the yellow, the white, and the blue, and that sort of grey black on the top. This could be a one, two, three, three layered screen print, or four layers, I reckon, maybe maximum. The blue, the white, because there's a half tone here, the yellow, and that black tone for doing the drop shadows and stuff. This would be a really nice screen print. And as much as you could do it as a giclée print, I'd be thinking about how do you offer something a little bit more, and it gives you that really vibrant color and it shows you sort of layering. So if you do have the time, have a look about screen printing, because you're sort of stepping into this screen print arena with these really graphic colors. And I love the one on the right. These are probably one of my favorite things you've done. So when looking at them, I really love them. So I think well done, Tamia. I really love these, and I thought they're really nice and bright, and they really captured a sense of commercial and advertising, and I thought they're fabulous. So these the these are probably one of my favorite things you've done, and I could really see the commercial value in them. So, and you've kind of thought about it, like with the milk, the Miu Miu milk. There's a real sort of understanding here. So, I would want to do more of these, and I think they really work nicely, and they could be gifts that stores could give away, and if you could find a process of how you could do these at a live event, it would be really nice to test. And I don't know, have you tried to do any live events, Tamio?
No. Yeah, and around
Not.
my area, yeah, it's a bit hard to find live events.
Okay. Could you travel to anywhere? What's the nearest city?
Or the nearest city would be, yeah, even to Tokyo is quite far from where I am now.
What in hours?
In hours would be by plane maybe under 2 hours, 1 hour and a
Uh,
half or 2 hours.
because I know Sarah Darby, who lives in Australia. She travels like 2 to 3 hours by plane to a lot of her live events. So that's quite normal to travel. And I recently was talking to her about a project, and for a half a day event, you could look at about. She was looking at about 1,200 to 1,500 pounds. So I don't know what that is in your money, but you could probably work out how much it is. I think it was in Australian dollars. You're looking about 2,200 or 2,300 Australian dollars for half a day's work. So I think, including flights and stuff like that. But if you could do these live, even as woodcuts or block prints or lino cuts, and do it live, I think there's a real space here for you. So I would test lino printing. Lino printing would be the quickest and easiest, but I would do a little screen printing. If you could screen print, would be amazing. Screen print onto a t-shirt at a live event, you would get lots of work. And if you could command that money, you imagine, that's good money. I
I'll
think.
have a look.
Have a look anyway. But Tamio, I think these are lovely, really really lovely pieces, and they're really finished. They're great pieces. So I think it would be nice to probably put these up on the portfolio as well. These are great.
Oh, thank you.
Good. Well done. Valia, I don't think Valia's on here. I'll have a look. Um, no, Valia's not here. But Valia, this was an interesting piece. I can see you playing with watercolors and experimenting and going sort of back to this analog. It has a sort of ballet feel to it. Yeah, for me, something like this, I'd rather look at it small. So it'd be like a few centimeters high. So it really work as a small piece, and it has a very editorial quality. I know I've noticed from looking at your work, Valia, it's very editorial looking, and it would be interesting. So the Tom Ford one we did a long time ago had a sense of advertising where this has more editorial feel or advertorial. So just think about the sort of clients that you want and the work that you want, but you're really I love that sort of layering effect that you're doing with the watercolors and the ombres or vignettes or washes of color. There's some really nice things happening, and I think you're starting to find a little bit of your own voice. So really nice. The only thing I might think about is, like the hand on the chair. Do you want it to stay abstract? If so, which bits should stay abstract, which bits shouldn't? That's the only bit I'm thinking of. And then maybe just thinking about the body and the posture of the body, because it's sort of a little bit out. She looks a bit stiff, or she looks like she's very strong. So just be aware of like what you're doing proportions wise if she has to be a ballet dancer or a contemporary dancer. But a really nice piece. The colors are really nice and vivid. I thought they were a bit warm for Miu Miu, but I could be wrong. So she does I would say much cooler colors. So maybe the background could have gone down a few tones, but a really lovely piece. Just be aware of what they're producing at the moment. But well done, Valia. Um, Paulka, you're going to have to tell me your name because you're new to the group. You can unmute your. I'll ask you to unmute if you can speak. I don't know if you can speak English. If you can, say yes. If you can't, put your thumb up on your thing. But Paulka. These are really nice. I thought the one on the right with all the bags and all the objects are fantastic. Um, some great little pieces. I thought these, as commercial pieces, these work really well. And I can see you on here, Polka. So you could maybe write something in the chat if you don't want to say anything. But I thought these were great illustrations and great images. If you don't know how to unmute yourself, I did ask you to unmute. So maybe later on you could kind of and great colors, great images, great illustrations. I thought these were really interesting. There was a really interesting illustrator many years ago, Ian Bilby. He used to do lots of illustrations like this for Paul Smith. So maybe Paul Smith's an interesting brand, but I can imagine Miu Miu using something like this. So they're great. They're sort of almost graphic hand collage digital works, and great. I loved them. I thought they were fantastic. So great work, Polka. Well done. Some lovely work. Bar Percy, I can see you're here.
Hi.
Hello. You can explain yourself if you want, because I've yet to have you on here. So I've seen you've done an array of work. So if you want to share, you've been doing like hand drawing with coloring pencils. Um, what have you been up to? Let's hear from you.
I do like to do more of a realism style mixed with textures and colors. I do mostly hand works and less of digital art. Pretty much that's it.
And where are you based, Bar?
I'm from Israel. Right now, I'm a fashion design student at Shankar College, second year.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
how's it going? Because it's very rare to see um, good illustrators doing fashion design.
I think that I'm kind of like mixing both majors because I do really love fashion, but also art is like a big part of my work. Um, I have a lot of support from like my school, so it's nice. They do encourage me. They were the one who encouraged me to come to Fida and participate in your competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Good.
much.
Good. And you've done quite well because and also just looking at these, they're really starting to move forward and develop. But the other thing is a lot of fashion design houses really need people that can draw to communicate their ideas. And I've tried to get many illustrators who work for luxury brands who are designers as well. We had one, Julia, not Julia Baldoni, and she used to teach at Malangoni in Milan, and she's now working at Gucci, and she's an amazing illustrator, and she has an understanding for design, but her real skill is drawing. And we had another one, Peter Turner, who also works at Gucci, who's a great drawer. So in the luxury brands, they look for fashion designers who can draw, and there's not many. So the good news for you is the competition is low. So if you're applying for a job, I would apply for a job at a luxury brand and show your illustrations that work with your designs. And they really, as long as they know you understand about design and you understand about the garment, if you could
Mm-hmm.
draw, they really love that. And all the people I've spoke to, especially from luxury houses, want people who can draw. So just consider that as a benefit for you rather than
Yeah.
thinking you can't connect the two. As a fashion designer, you can, and we try to push that more. You know, when I worked at Dior and I worked at Tom Ford, lots of the time that I was there, it was because I could draw really well. So, and my background wasn't in fashion, but I understood fashion and I taught fashion as well. So, just to give you an idea, that drawing is paramount for luxury fashion houses. So you've got a really good chance of getting a good job if you can draw, and also thinking about drawing your technicals really nicely as well. So just
Mm-hmm.
just be aware that also not only communicating really nice illustrations, but also really spend time doing your technicals, and that really gives you another step up. I know we've had lots of students going to McQueen, Vivian Westwood, places like that, where they really want people to draw and really care about the technicals because they're thinking of the work being shown in museums, in galleries, because they want good work. So just keep pursuing. And I see your detailing has gone up a level again, which is nice from the early works that you sent in for us for the
Mm-hmm.
competition. It looks like you're spending a bit more time doing them, but also keep some of that rawness that you had in the green one. So just thinking back to your early work, uh, don't like they're both different approaches to drawing fashion
Yeah, I agree.
and sometimes your tutors or different people will prefer this because it's more finished, but sometimes it's nice to have that raw drawing line because if you worked with a brand like even if it was Levi's or something that's a little bit more raw, has a raw edge to it, you could bring a different approach to it. But where if you were drawing for someone like Dior, they would love something like this, something more finished. And you'd probably have to make it not be so real. You'd have to squeeze it a little bit and make it a little bit thinner and a bit
Mm-hmm.
smaller head because that's how a lot of the fashion illustrators, that's how they draw. Things are very tall and long. And at the moment, yours are sort of documenting someone who's quite real. So
Yeah.
that's the only tweak I would do. And you can do it in Photoshop as well if you just use perspective tools.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to destroy your drawing. Just do it on the computer after. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Good. Excellent. Deleter. I think I saw Deleter on here.
Yeah, I'm here.
Deleter. Lovely. I thought these were great, and I think there's a real nice sort of combination of here. The one on the left with the long chair is great. This sort of combination of styles, techniques. Um, these are probably my favorite work that you've done so far that I've seen. And I think they're great, and they're so different. What was good about them? They were so different, and the one on the chair is fabulous, and I'm trying to think of illustrators that I've seen, but more they've gone into the more art side of what you're doing with your cross hatching and all the detailing. You've not done too much of it, which is good. So you've kept it to a really nice sort of level without destroying it and making the cross hatching too thick, and also because she's a girl, like that sort of female form, you've not overdone it. And I don't mind the hand that's quite small and the figure's quite long. You've got this really tall chair. This is lovely. And then the one on the right, for me, I was thinking, okay, it's totally a different approach, very quick, but it's something that you could do on an iPad at a live event. So this is something that I would imagine at a live event and you could easily get an opportunity from this. I think it's fabulous. And if you could make that the little accessories on the bag move a little bit, that would be perfect. And then people would say, okay, not only can she illustrate, but it can animate as well, and they can be used for social media. So that's the benefits of both of these. Am I correct in the approaches that you went? One sort of watercolory and pencil, and the other one is all digital.
No,
No.
actually, they're both and drawn traditional way.
Wow.
I in the second one was made with Uniposca markers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I tried to do something really quick because you told me last time I went to the Zoom call that I could try to apply for live events because I'm quite fast in drawing. So I wanted to explore more that part, but I also wanted to do something more traditional like the first one and try other medium, which in fact I used watercolors,
Yeah.
colored pencils, Uniposca
Yeah.
combined. Um, so I wanted to do something more realistic since I'm able to do realistic and photorealistic things, but I still wanted to give the sketchy feel, like like you told about the cross hatching.
Yeah, my advice to you is
Hmm.
the one on the right with the yellow bag. I
Hmm.
would show that on a piece of paper held in your hand, and then people can see the size of the scale of it, and they can see that it's real because it's clean and you've made it all nice and clean. As nice as it looks to me, it now looks computerized. Where if you showed it on a
Hmm.
piece of paper, on a nice piece of card, then they'll go, ah, this is something that's for live events. So one of the feedbacks that we get is, and I tell people as well, is show it in the real space, like put it in your hand, photograph it, so people can see it as a real thing, and then they don't go, ah, is this computerized? How is it done? Where if they go, ah, no, or you photograph it with the pen on the table that's all I would have liked to have seen, and then I would have went lovely because this could have been done on the computer as well. So it looked because it's so clean.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. But in fact, usually when I post my drawings on my social accounts, like on Instagram, I usually post both the scanned version of the drawing, but also the photo of the drawing in the space, just
Yeah.
to give the idea of the size of the drawing.
And how big is this drawing?
All like almost an
A5?
A4.
Okay. All right. So maybe it'd be nice a little bit smaller because people could take them
Mhm,
home. So A5 is
mhm,
probably a better size, a little bit smaller. So even what you could do is just print it out on a really nice card and
mhm.
then say, oh, here's a drawing I've done, just to make it look nicely finished or whatever, and then take a really good photograph. And it could be, if it was held against the sky or something, so it looks quite Miu Miu with clouds or something, could be quite cool. So really good, and it's good that you listened to what I said. I think this is the best you've done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So well done. Maybe this brand, everyone loves this brand because the work's so much better. Lara, is Lara here? Let's have a look if Lara's here. No, no, Lara. Anyway, Lara, an interesting piece. just I can look at all the detail you put in on that jacket. Just be aware of like you've got a hand here, this hand. You've spent all that time drawing this. Just make that hand look a little bit more real. There has to be a bit more detail on there because all of the rest of it is quite interesting and quite playful, um, and all the detail in the jacket. And also, where do you imagine this going? Because the question I'd always think to myself is, if I was to have this piece of art, what is it? A piece of art? Is it for an editor? Is it for a magazine? Maybe it needs the environment of the cars. Like I can imagine her in Paris or somewhere like that, or even in Milan during the sun, or you know, if it was a hot time in New York, you could put a yellow cab in the background. I think it needs the environment, so it feels like a sort of a Polaroid, and then these amazing details. The details are phenomenal. I love the details, so it's really cool, and I love this sort of childlike, easy style. It's quite cool, but you've got to get that hand's got to be better. Yeah, that's the only bit. The other bits, the bags and stuff, but hands have to be done nicely. You'll get complaints every day. So just make sure you fix the hands. Jenny, I'm not too sure if Jenny's here. No, no, Jenny. Jenny, I thought these were really interesting compositions and poses. I thought the drawings were really nice. Just try and experiment with the differentiation of line because the weight of the line is very similar, but the pose, look at the drawings that David Hockney does of with his coloring pencils of figures and forms, and I think using your coloring pencils, you're starting to get a real understanding of figure and form and that sort of slouchy position. And I like that you're putting details and adding some color in, so there's a bit of weight to the drawing. So this is quite cool. There's something quite nice about this one as well. I thought it was quite fast and furious, but it be again, these could be cool live event drawings. I think they'd be really nice. But I think you may have spent really a long time doing these details here. How do you do that faster during a live event? So just be aware of that. But good, Jenny. Selma, I'm not too sure if Selma's here. No, no, Selma. Selma, again, really interesting pieces. And I'm just trying to think. So, you know, we've got a real good approach, and there's this sort of impasto, some really interesting light. Um, I'm still trying to imagine how you're doing these. I think it's a combination of what you've been doing in digital, but there's sort of this real interplay of impasto and thickness, and then that finished face. I'm trying to think of like someone drawing with this really like it feels like oil, like a household gloss paint. That's the sort of impression I'm getting that you're drawing with these sort of household paints. I'm just trying to think, how could you make these? Could you draw the test as an experiment? If you ignored the face and we just drew a bag, this approach to drawing on the right with the blue, which is very loose and quick, could you do, don't do a figure, draw more of an object, because you could have that very loose approach to drawing and you're not worried about the face. I think the faces at the moment, the faces are lovely, but they're sort of holding you back from being more playful. So I know you're really playing and experimenting, and I thought these are really beautiful, comprehensive pieces. So as I always say, keep this going. But when you do something like this, where you're getting very loose, do more of it, and it feels very painterly. It feels like something quite arty, and I would love to see more of that, just as a test. And it might go wrong, so it's just worth the experiment. I always think it's worth experiment and looking at old, painters. You're starting to get these painterly styles here. This one with Cara Delevingne, this sort of depth. It reminds me of paintings that I would see in the National Portrait Gallery or the National Gallery. You know, the early sort of past Renaissance. I'd say early 1900s works. Just think of the artists. The National Gallery. If you're ever in London, I think the National Gallery would be a great space here, and you're getting this really good sense of space and environment and colour. Um, as there's something different, as a challenge would be maybe to not draw one person, draw a series of people, and that they're not all looking at the camera, and they're more documentary based rather than these face like these portraits, people looking at us. So it'd be good to see different characters in different spaces, three-quarter faces, half faces, profiles, just to see how you get on. Because it's great to do the gaze of an artist. I'd like to see you just move outside your space now, because I think you're starting to get these really fixed. But great. Wanda, I think I saw one. Wanda, I can see you on here. If you can turn off your
Hi, hello.
hello, Wanda. So you're
Hi.
you're you're new you're new to the group,
Yes, I am.
and where are you
I am
from?
new.
Where are you from?
At that moment, I live in Sofia, Bulgaria, but a few years ago, I lived in London for a few years.
Ah, okay. And I thought there was a real interesting. s- So one of the things you've done, which not many people have taken on, is lots of characters in a space, very documentary based, and it reminds me of sort of photography, more photography rather than fashion illustration. And I think would make a great collection of pieces, and these sort of it would be nice for you to think about even drawing, because they're fashion based, but drawing normal people in spaces as well would make your work really interesting and relevant, even though these fashion characters are integrated with, I guess, more normal people and normal spaces. But really fascinating. I thought there was some fascinating things happening and some really lovely drawings. Like this portrait here was really nice with colours. And obviously you're doing everything either using pencils, watercolours. You tell me what medium
Yes,
are you
yes,
using?
yes. All of those. I'm sorry, I'm just like a little bit nervous, but yes, these works are mixed media. Just the lower one is a sketch.
With a
It's just
pencil.
with a pencil. Yes, I am in my newest works. I'm working as also with digital, but though these four works represents different techniques like mixed media with watercolor, pencil, and ink, as you see. So yeah,
They're lovely. And what size are they? About A3 or
yeah,
A?
yes, yes. All of them, they are A3.
Yeah, I can tell because there's a lot of detail there, and it would be interesting to see you push them a bit harder, and also looking at photographers who do more documentary photography, to get inspiration from. That would be quite fascinating for you. And one of the things we're looking at now is looking in Midjourney and see if Midjourney can create wonderful worlds for illustrators to draw from. So I think as much as AI has a negative, the benefits are that it will be copyright free, and you'll be able to like type in, I would like two models like standing outside a car in Ireland or in a different country in an urban environment. It will give you the image. You can work from that, and you won't have the problem of copyright. So, in theory, there is benefits to AI, and you might be able to type in. Have you used AI much?
Yes, yes, I am working as an illustrator and a graphic designer, so it is part of. I mean, I use it just as a tool, but not as like um, how to say it.
Final outcomes.
It's a
No, you
tool.
just as
Yeah,
reference, yeah. But
yeah. Not yeah. I don't use the images or something.
yeah,
I like to.
it would be really nice to see you going in and trying to create compositions in AI to then use as reference to draw from.
Mhm.
And then it's yours. It's your.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I'm looking into at the moment is finding good reference material that could be through AI that could be used to draw them from. And then you have, it's an image that's totally invented. So No one can say, "Ah, well, you've copied this." So we won't need to draw from magazines anymore. You could go into AI and you get your new reference book. So I think that might become our new tool because I've seen lots of illustrators saying, "Oh, does anyone know where royalty-free images are, where I can collect images to work from?" Because that's the biggest problem that we're going to have. So lovely drawings, really nice. The only thing is, I guess, in some of them is where you're drawing with a technique that is very similar. It's hard to create depth of field. So that's the only bit where I'm thinking, like the picture in the car. Sorry, the picture in the car, the environment.
Yeah.
Inside the car could be a lot darker, and then they're
Yeah.
outside the
So
car,
to create
lighter.
contrast. Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
contrast will give you that depth of
And
field.
yeah.
And like the woman crossing the road, she could have been a little bit darker, and the others in the background a little bit light, just to push them back a bit. And then I'm like, ah, yeah, but lovely, a lovely new series, and good to see some new works, and also great to see environments. So well done, Wanda. A lovely, lovely little series. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback a lot.
Good. Nina, I think Nina's here. I saw Nina.
Yeah, I'm here.
You sent in the big shoe.
Yeah,
It
they
was
have great shoes.
it interesting to see this big shoe. And the only question I'd have for you, Nina, is one is I would have liked to have seen more. And
Yeah.
secondly, was it just a zoomed in piece, or you found a really close up shot online as a reference and you worked from that? Did you zoom into a part of an image, or you found a big image?
No, it was a big image. I have a subscription from Vogue.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and they have all the pictures from all the collections, and one is that.
Nice. And I think the sad news for me is that Vogue Style. We did a project with them not long ago for Vogue, and we had one of Margot, who I don't know if you remember. She did some of the behind the scenes drawings of some of the fashion shows, and it would be lovely to see someone like you doing all the shoes, all the accessories that Vogue does. So if you could do a little collection of them and then maybe send them over or tag them or something like that, I think you could gain a little bit of interest in your detailed images like this. Because a lot of the time you've been working on faces, but I think it's nice that you've worked on the shoe, and maybe you could look at hands and accessories because there's some really nice, and you've got this very painterly approach now. Was this done by digital or by hand?
By digital.
Good. So it's starting to look like paint. We're getting there.
Good. Yeah.
You're starting to trick me, which is nice. I'm happy to see that. So Nina, it would be good for you to go onto Vogue and grab a lot of them and do lots of. I got a commission to do at Frieze Art Fair to draw lots of like people's shoes and images like that, and like a blogger, like someone who went to the event and documented it. So you could be someone who's documenting shoes. I did get an illustrator to do it a few years ago. I saw she did two or three nice pictures of feet like you've done, and I got her to do a series, and it got her some work. So I think, Nina, it's worth trying it.
Yeah, sure.
Good.
Thanks.
Excellent. Well done. Jana, is Jana here? No, Jana. Okay. Yeah, Jana, again, fast and furious. Just be aware when you're using that sort of ink pen, sometimes it makes the artwork seem a little bit disjointed with the pencil, the ink pen. Just think about the approaches. There's some really nice little detail things happening here, but we have to work out what is a focal point and what is not a focal point, what you're going to spend time on and what stuff you're not going to spend time on, and how you're drawing stuff. Like I love this little blue line that goes with the brown, and you're painting in the negative space. It just be aware, is it the bag that's important, is it the top, or is it just the logo? We have to really think about detailing just to let people know what is the focal point. If the bag's the focal point, spend more time on the bag and maybe a little bit less time on the face or something. So we like the fur jacket. If that's a fur jacket, maybe don't scribble it too much. Just do it as a big as a shape. Yeah, you could be a little bit looser. So but a nice piece. Well done, Jana. Um, let me. Right, I think I might have seen.
Hi.
Hello, you could. I don't. I think I've got your name the wrong way round. By looking at yours. You tell me how to say your name.
Punita.
Punita. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what would be good is I'm guessing they're done on an iPad or digitally.
Yeah.
Okay, and where are you getting your references from? Online?
Um, some of it's from like online. So like the one that the biggest one, like the full outfit picture is from Vogue, like one of the runway pictures, like close-ups, and then
Yeah.
I digitalized it, and then but some like the Met Gala one, the blue one, the blue dress, that one is like I combined a few of the elements from like one of the photos from the Met Gala plus like the veil pictures. I just like did it on my own. Yeah. So some of it depends, yeah.
Okay. So oh, sorry. The this ballet shoe
Yeah.
and this sock, this is lovely, and I think is a really nice. You've put in all this detail and energy into this part of the shoe, and you've kind of got this very almost mark making background, which is really nice. And I feel that one is to me when you're drawing things like shoes you look like the way you have to see it is when someone views it, they have to know that you love what you're drawing. And when you've drawn this, it feels like you care.
Mm,
So when I look at that drawing, I go to myself, wow, look how much energy has gone into that drawing and time and love and understanding, like caring about that little ballet shoe and putting in the light and the shadows and the midtones and all them details. So when someone sees your work, if we imagine, if we're making a comparison, so look at this girl, this lady here in the yellow, and we have this sort of blue background, is do you feel the love as much as the love here? And that's the question you have to ask about your work is when you're drawing stuff, some people want to create lots of content where really and truly you'd be better off doing some maybe fast drawings that you use as reference. But really and truly the ones that you learn to edit and select are the ones that you feel I really I enjoyed drawing that and I spent my time on it and we can see it. So when I
mm,
see the work, I can see the work you really cared about. And I thought I made this one big because I saw a sort of a combination of speedy care and consideration. The bag, that sort of understanding for form is there. And I don't know if you draw with felt tips, but maybe you could do a little test as well, like see how you could color this with felt tips. Uh,
mm.
because that could and markers. What's your background?
I'm doing fashion design. I'm like studying currently a fashion design. So I haven't really done, I mean, I studied art for like a very long time, but then I just recently started doing more digital drawing. So I'm still trying to like experiment with
Okay,
digital
that's
stuff.
nice. And what college are you at for fashion?
Kingston.
Oh, you're at Kingston. Nice. I was
Yeah.
there not long ago.
Oh,
I was doing some lectures there. I was working with the art direction course by the library.
oh, okay.
So I have spoken to a few of the fashion tutors, but Kingston, I studied in Kingston.
Oh, I
So
didn't know that.
many years ago, and then I did my MA at the Royal College. So
Mm,
kind of moved on to the next stage. But lovely drawings, and I think because you do fashion design, you should be used to markers. Uh, I'm guessing you've got markers from college if you're doing any drawings, and it's great to see some Kingston people here. So usually Kingston people are great at drawing. So it's nice to see that they've kept that going, that they're keeping the illustrators and the artists there. So that's really nice. And these details are brilliant. Like I'm doing some stuff with Graduate Fashion Week as well. So it's great to see more illustration in fashion design and more people caring about their drawings as fashion designers. So it's really good to see what you've done here. And I think what would be interesting, you can tag us online, is to show some of your actual fashion design pieces that you've illustrated as well, rather than
Mhm.
illustrating someone else's collections. Do you have you got that care and consideration? And also, once you make your pieces, do you style them and re-illustrate them? So that's
I do, but it's also like because I do more like technical drawings in terms of my own stuff. So it's a bit hard to get out of that. Um like I focus too much on the details because I know where everything is. So when I
yeah.
draw, it's a little bit more different to when I draw other people's clothes, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, but what you could do is uh, you could get someone else to maybe you give them your garments that you make. They could then style it, you photograph it, and then you draw from it, rather than you taking all the roles of styling, adding the outfit on,
Mm.
because they might do something different. They might like go, "I'll put your hands in the pockets, do this, try this," or even if you style it, get reference from catwalks or fashion shows because the stylist really thinks about how the garment works on the body, where a lot of fashion designers care about the garment. They're not really thinking about how it's styled. So
Mm.
you talk to some of because Kingston doesn't have stylists. So I don't know who would probably help you. Maybe the art direction team. But I do know when I was there that some of the fashion design students were working with art direction. So maybe you could speak to some of them students to help art direct some of the way you style your garments. Or just
Mm.
get reference and then take some photographs and then redraw your pieces and see how and mix them with like different like you've got a jacket here mixed with something else. So just be a bit more playful with it. But I think the drawings here are really nice, and I can see an understanding of form and shape. Um, and it would be interesting for you because if you're a fashion designer, I'd love to see you working with markers. Even though you're working digitally, it would be interesting to take it back to an analog approach as well. But so you can work by hand as well and
Yeah.
understand your garments more. So overall, really good, and it's great to see a person from Kingston here, so we can share notes. And you never know. What year are you? Second year?
First year.
First year. Oh, great. I think Kingston have bought a lot of our books. I think I've got to send 5 or 6 of them. So if you go to the library, we've got 4 books in Kingston's library from Fida. So go into
Oh,
go in the library and ask for us, and then
yeah.
you might see some of our books with the illustrations in it.
Okay.
All
Yes.
right,
I
good,
was also
excellent.
wondering, sorry, I was just wondering, like, because we're talking about the live events, like drawing for live events. I'm not too sure what that means.
So live events are like activations that happen for brands, and if you go online, a lot of illustrators at the moment are there's a VIP event, and then they draw portraits, they draw accessories, they draw on people's bags. I don't.
Mm,
Are you on Instagram?
yeah.
So if you go on Instagram, when you follow us, we share lots of people who do live events work. And we have a little live events platform that we promote live events as well, because that's a real big space for earning money. So being
Mm,
someone like you who can draw, if you want to make an extra income, it would be nice to think about live events. It's a great income for young students and talent because we've had students from Goldsmiths and other universities doing live events. So have a look about live events. If you go onto our platform, you'll look for the live event button and it will send you there and you can have a
okay.
look at it. All right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Good, excellent. Sophia here?
Yes, good evening.
Hello, Sophia. So I saw these. It's nice to see some full. Sophia, If do you want to explain what you do and what you how you work, and just to give everyone a little bit of an idea again?
Well, actually, right now, I am a graphic designer student, and I am thinking of developing my career in fashion illustration. Here, for example, I just illustrated um, some photos from Miu Miu campaign with Gigi Hadid. I used watercolors here, and as well, I made two illustrations of two Miu Miu looks from the newest collection, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is interesting is you've drawn them as if you're a fashion designer. I
Thank you.
don't know if you knew that. So if I saw these drawings, they look more like you're a designer for the fashion brand. So when we looked at all the other people's work, you can see them trying to think about it from an art point of view, where
Mhm.
you've thought about it from more of a fashion design. You've looked at the full figure, you've looked at the garment, you've really tried to understand the pose of the figure. So these two figures on the right hand side, this is the sort of work I'd expect from a fashion designer, which isn't a bad thing because a lot of fashion designers, so like brands that we speak to, Erdem, Paul Smith, Roxanda, they love graphic designers because they understand a graphic figure and a shape rather than a fashion designer is always trying to design. They just want people to capture. So
Mhm.
uh, it's really interesting to see what you've tackled this because you've really cared about the actual garment and you've drawn it like a fashion designer rather than thinking about environment. I could really imagine these as fashion design illustrations for brands. So it would be interesting to see. Like, I'm going to go and have a little scout about what you're doing because these. I don't know if you thought about from a fashion design perspective, reaching out to fashion brands, and because they are always looking for illustrators to help communicate their ideas. So it's quite nice to kind of if you do a little collection of these, and the way you've done the faces that are quite small are really nice. So your small drawings are these? What size are these? A4?
Yes, A4.
Yeah, perfect. So usually a fashion designer draws on A4 paper. So you're acting like a fashion designer, where a lot of illustrators probably work A3.
Oh, actually, yes, I was thinking that I would like really to get a job in for look like to illustrate for luxury brands their looks. I just didn't know how to pitch to up to like to these fashion brands to offer myself as an illustrator who could like draw their looks, the ideas.
So in theory, if you do more of these and more in series, and the only thing you'd probably have to do is maybe just draw a jacket on its own. So go online and find some pictures of jackets, shirts, uh, different objects, and then they can go, okay, you can draw the full figure and you can draw the garment as well on its own. And if you do that, then they go, ah, okay, you're useful. You can do the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yes,
that's a really good approach to it. So I think from a fashion design and also Sophia, I think where are you based, Sophia?
London.
Ah, well, we were talking about live events. These would be great for little live event drawings as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good, excellent.
Thank you.
Uh, I know Iona, I think. Eh, You can tell me if I'm wrong.
Hi.
Did I say it wrong?
It's okay. Yeah, it's I know.
I know her. So okay, I know her. Where are you based? I know her.
In Germany,
In,
Dortmund.
in Germany. Okay, so well, one thing we do know, we've been speaking about live events. There's lots of live event work in Germany. We have like Anya Kabul and people like that who are drawing lots. So there's a big fruitful market for live event drawing, and this is perfect for it. Perfect. So if you had more and more of these as a series and try and draw more like people, because this looks like a sort of normal person as well, If you could do lots of these, I think they'd be great for a live event. And they're done by hand. They're not digital, are they?
No, they are handled.
Right. So there's lots of work in Frankfurt, Dusseldorf, Berlin, tons of work, Stuttgart. So anywhere you think of going around in Germany, there's lots of work, especially in all of the luxury brand houses. And if you could do the full figure as well, would be really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Maybe if you did some drawings of accessories and the bags as well, would be nice to see because you've got a really nice little approach with your coloring pencils and then details. How long did this take you?
Almost, I think 4 hours or a little bit more because I tried to make some more detail on the food and then the skin, the fur and everything. I tried to make it more detail and the rest make it more sketchy, you know?
Right. You've got to get that down to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So for as beautiful it is, how do you get it to be faster? So that's the trick. If you want to do, what are you working in at the moment? What do you currently do?
I work as a tax advisor, so nothing related to.
Okay, so something totally different. Okay, but anyway, from an interesting point of view, it's good to see you doing these lovely little drawings, and they're great. And it would, and I'm hoping to see you do more. Obviously, they're taking you 4 hours, so that's a long time. You need the more you do, the quicker you will get.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Martha, I don't think Martha's here. Martha, I thought this was a really nice piece. My only question is that head looks a little bit stuck. You've got no shadow under the chin, and it looks a little bit too stuck on the figure. So when you kind of look at it from this, the body's really nice and there's some interesting. And I think where you've drawn it really looking at us, it's kind of created that head and the color palette for the head is a little bit different from here. So I think you may have to add a little bit of detail in round by that neck because that was the one thing that I kind of noticed. I imagine the head spinning round because you've drawn all the hand and everything else loosely and just focused on that face. So maybe we're becoming a bit obsessed. And what would be really good to see, because you do lots of stuff, Martha, is maybe let's try do something very different. Because I think like Selma and a variety of people like with Valia is putting things on its head and try something different. Yeah, so we can experiment and try something new. I think you've really conquered this approach now and you've done amazing. And you could go off and do a series of illustrations for people. But I feel it'd be really nice to see you try something a bit more alternative, just as an experiment. It's good to, like me, always, you should be experimenting all the time. Katie, I don't think Katie's on here, but Katie made these collages and I put her video in here. I managed to add it in. Good. So interesting to see a little bit of the making of a sort of animation and a beautiful outcome. And Katie's done live events. Katie does a variety of stuff. She works to make people creative in different fields of design up in Scotland. And I think I love this approach. And I think Katie's got a great way of working. And I can really see these in reels and stories. And I'm surprised more work hasn't come her way regarding brands sucking her in because this is a great approach. I think with all of these things is we see it with all these illustrators like Jessica Bird and a variety of them. They have really put in the long time. It hasn't just happened overnight. So there's a real long length of time that they're working in the field. So well done, Katie. And I know we've got an event coming up soon, so I might see you online. So well done. Let's pause this. Let's see if we can get to the next. Unless that's it. Let's see. I think we had that was it. No thanks at the end. Perfect. So anyway, it was good to see an animation. I managed to embed this one into the presentation. So well done, everybody. You know, a great series of works and a good variety. And I think I can only assume everyone really loved Miu Miu and everyone loves this brand. It's a very playful, creative brand. So a great series of work. And thank you so much. And I'll be sharing it online. I'll be sharing it in our members Slack group as well. So all the information is there. And thank you so much. And I know you all stay up late and you all put into lots of hard work. So well done and some really good outcomes. And thank you so much and have a good evening. Bye bye. Good night, all.
Bye. Good
Bye bye.
evening. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Bye.